What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Robinson Motorsports. If you haven't been here before, this is where we work on, race, and try to make dirt bikes go faster. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below because I got this build coming up that you're not going to want to miss. So the race season's pretty much over with right now. The last race in this area was Hogback Hare Scramble. I posted a video a little bit earlier this week on it. It was November 1st. We're into hunting season. It's just snow's coming and race season's over with. There's a winter league that's starting, I think in January, but it's kind of like 2.5 hours away from me. I'm not really probably not gonna ride any of those. So it's kind of time to think about rebuilding the 125, going through it, greasing all the bearings. I have my wife's CM 450 that I'm going to be working on a little bit over the winter, and the 125 doesn't need much. I may have put 10 hours on it this year racing and riding. With the COVID, I just kind of decided to take this year off, and it was kind of a wash anyways. The races started late, so just kind of getting back into things. Last week, I'd say maybe 3-4 days ago, there was an announcement on Facebook that there's a new series coming in this area called Full Tilt. It's basically a sprint enduro format, like full gas. The 125 would be good with that, but I think I got a little bit better of an idea. So the 125 I built specifically for hare scrambles and the 24-hour race. And there's a light coil on it. I still have to finish wiring the headlight to it. I got a Squadron Sport. The 3.2 gallon gas tank is going to get me about 40 miles, which is 4 laps at the 24-hour. And I'm happy with how that bike will be for that race. One of my friends who had a YZ250, he built it pretty much into an X. I think it was a 2006. He's gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong. But he put the wide gear ratio transmission in it out of a WR, which was 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I think. Put the X head on it, the X CDI, flywheel weight, I mean the works. He liked it, then he bought a 4-stroke and realized that he's a 4-stroke guy and not a 2-stroke guy. Fortunately, I still talk to him, but he went out and bought his second 4-stroke, and shortly after that he texted me saying that there was a huge sale on Yamaha parts at his place. So I already knew that he had a spare motor that was blown up, complete though, from the carburetor to the smoke. Basically carburetor, engine, transmission, stator, the pipe, and silencer. I knew he had all of that, so I just verified that he had the stator. Yeah, he had that, and then I just pretty much threw out $500. It's like, here, I'll give you $500 for it, because I know it needs a rebuild, which is fine, because I'd rather go into a race season with a freshly built motor. And it was complete. Finding case halves, things like that, you're gonna end up nickel and diming. Trying to find a roller nowadays, or even just a blown up one, is tough because everybody's trying to buy them to just fix them up and flip them. So without trying to fight on Facebook for that stuff, I just decided to buy the motor and then go from there. One of the options I had was to find a 2002 through 2004 YZ250 frame, just the frame, and then take everything off of Woods Ripper, suspension, swing arm, radiators, plastics, you name it, and put that on the 250 frame, and then have a 2004 YZ250, because they're pretty much identical. The other option was to find a aluminum YZ250 frame and build that up, or find a roller if I could find one at all. So after throwing the $500 out there for that blown complete motor, he responds to me with, I will hook you up with pretty much everything, or I will load you up with what I have for that. Then a couple, I'd say a little bit goes by. He takes some pictures of some things, sends it to me, whatnot, and I'm like, okay, cool, okay, cool, okay, cool. And he's like, well, I got a carb too, but you gotta have another $100 for that. So it's like, oh man, $600. Or, he keeps sending me, he keeps finding things and sending me these pictures, and I was just like, all right, dude, whatever. Bring it to Pavilion, the hair scramble there, and I'll take a look at everything, and then I'll just give you the money and I'll take it, whatever. You know, I kind of want this motor, I want the build, I need something to do over the winter that's going to be a little bit, that's going to be a bike that I could race. So I ended up buying the motor from him. It's complete, it's damn near everything I need. I got a spare crank with it, a spare clutch basket, a 265 head or cylinder with power valves in it. I got the carb, I got a pipe silencer, you name it. I got a lot of stuff. And the best thing is I can liquidate some of it to kind of knock that $600 bill down. So started searching online for a frame. And I ended up doing some research, trying to figure out exactly what I could do and this and that. The cheapest YZ250 frame that I could find in the United States on eBay or any of the Facebook pages was like $900. And I'm like, oh man, what did I get myself into? Then I started looking at 2010 to 2013 YZ250F frames, because the swing arm is the YZ250 2-stroke motor fits right into the swing arm. No shims, no messing around, nothing. Swing arm goes in the frame, throw the bolt through it, you're good to go. There are three issues with mounting it. Obviously it's not a plug and play, you can't just bolt it in there. You need to move the two bottom engine mounts, well, the one bottom engine mount. You need to take the Y in the frame, cut it and move it about 2 or 3 inches up, and you need to figure out radiators. Now there's a lot of people saying that they had custom radiators made from China, from those cheap $84 Chinese places. They just, or 80 some odd dollar radiators that come from China. They just email the people and say, hey, can you make this a little bit shorter on this side because of the way the pipe clears it. Well, the 125 has a shorter radiator on the pipe side, so I might not, I'll use the one off of Woods Ripper to see if it works, and if it doesn't, then I'll just have one made, but I'm pretty sure that there's going to be enough clearance there. The third issue is going to be the air boot, and a lot of people are saying that you can use a YZ125 air boot that'll fit from the 250F airbox to the carburetor. I just so happen to have one of those on Project Woods Ripper. So once again, I will not be cannibalizing from it, but I'll be using it as parts to basically duplicate, to say, okay, well, I'm going to verify that this works, and go from there. So, without further ado, here's what I have so far. Frame I bought for $264.64 shipped to my house. Just the frame and pegs, which is kind of cool because I definitely need pegs. The swing arm I paid $256.95 shipped to my house, that came with the linkage, which is awesome. This shock I had laying around from another project that I had. I believe it's off of a 98 YZ250. I'll have to look for numbers, but I mean it fits in there. I think they're pretty much all the same. I still need to find forks. I still need to find a lot of stuff, but this is a start. I'm in this right here. I'm into it for $1,100, which you may think, oh, that's kind of steep, but my budget's going to be trying to keep it under $4 grand. Rolling, ready to race, fresh chassis bearings, fresh suspension that's tuned for my weight, fresh tires, and a complete fresh rebuild on the engine. Note that I already have a crank. So that's pretty much what the project's going to be, and we can look a little bit deeper into these the engine mounts and what needs to be done here. I have a buddy, Jeremy Hadley at Hadley's Weld Fab in Marion. He is about 25 minutes. Just like you go out to the main road, go all the way to the end, and he's basically right at the end of it. You run right into his building. He said he'll charge me $75 an hour to move some mounts around and cut this Y pipe. So I'm gonna take him up on it. I figure even if it's $500 to get the frame, it's still cheaper than a $900 frame that's like every other YZ250 out there. Alright, now we're gonna get to the fun stuff. Basically, if we look right here, the engine drops right into the swing arm. Both sides, swing arms on there, motor's somewhat tight. I had to buy a swing arm bolt, so okay, maybe I'm $1,150 into this, but anywho, that's all in there. The bottom mount here would be the next mount. You're gonna have to cut this off, move it back a little bit. It's actually hitting on the other side here, so that needs to be moved back a little bit. The engine itself is not level in the frame right now, so cutting those off, moving those back, and mounting those I think would be priority, first thing to do. And the second thing to do is this exhaust port right here. Mind you, it's still a little high because we're not level here. The exhaust needs to come out through this hole. So with it being, you're gonna have to cut probably 2 inches out of here, 2-3 inches out of here, and then cut them here and cut them right down here and add your 2 inches here, moving this whole Y cradle up. There's a company, I forget the name of it, but they make billet Y pieces like that for CR 500 builds, but they're all for CR frames. CR 125, CR 250, CRF 450s, whatever, all Honda frames, and those yokes. I thought about emailing them and asking them what the width is, things like that, to see maybe it'll work, because all it is just basically a wishbone. But I think Jeremy's going to be able to hook me up and move this up a little bit. Then from there, you could either weld 2 tabs on the piece that they weld here for the engine mount there, or you could build something off of these mounts that are already here. The top mount, it's probably going to be a bar here, 2 little pieces of angle on it. I saw somebody do that online. It seemed like a decent idea, at least to get it in there. I may kind of modify that a little bit. My brother's a machinist, and I have a buddy that runs a CNC water jet, I think it is, or plasma table. Either way, he's also like a machinist, or he's in manufacturing. So maybe I could reach out to him, or I've already asked him to build that plate for the Project Woods Ripper to hold my regulator rectifier, and that came out awesome. So hopefully you can do something else for me. That'd be sweet. Thanks a lot, Ron. Then I got to get a subframe for this. I think once the engine's mounted, I'm gonna get the subframe, get the air boot in there, and the carb pretty much working. Then I'll get the radiators figured out. Then from there, it's basically just 2010 to 2013 YZ250F parts. I'm gonna run a 1.7, the stock 1.7 gallon tank, which is kind of risky, but with this sprint format, there's going to be a lot of times to fuel up. I mean, we're only talking 5 to 7 mile loops. Even if it's a 10-mile loop, I can still make 1 loop, fill up after that, go do another loop. So I'm not too worried about fuel consumption. I'm more worried about weight. I want to try to make this as light as possible. I'm curious to see how much it weighs compared to a YZ250F. Obviously the 2-stroke motor is lighter, so I want to see how close to the 125 I can get this. So I'm going to take the motor out and package that up so I can take it to Jeremy tomorrow in the morning I don't know what his turnaround time is going to be. I really don't care because I have the whole winter to do this. But the first step is to get this motor mounted in this frame, knowing that it's going to work, and then I can build off of there. So hit that subscribe button, follow this build. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to share it with everybody, and I will see you guys in the next one.